Your GMC diesel is built to last 500,000 miles, but if you keep driving it the way you're driving it right now, you won't make it past 150,000. Most diesel owners think they're treating their truck right. They change the oil, they maintain it, they take care of it. But there are 7 driving habits, things you do every single day, that are quietly destroying your engine, your turbo, your DPF system, and costing you thousands in repairs you could have avoided. Today, I'm breaking down the 7 driving habits that kill GMC diesel engines faster than anything else. Some of these feel completely normal. You might even think you're being careful, but each one is shaving years off your engine's life. The last habit I cover? It's the #1 killer of modern 6.6-liter Duramax engines, and most owners don't even know the system exists. Real quick, if you're finding this useful, hit subscribe. New GMC diesel tips every week. Habit number 7. Cold starting and driving off immediately. Winter morning. You start your GMC diesel, let it idle for maybe 10 seconds, throw it in drive, and head out. Seems normal, right? You got places to be. The truck started fine. What's the problem? The problem is, diesel oil is thick. When it's cold, it flows like syrup. And in those first 30 seconds after startup, that thick oil hasn't reached critical components yet. Your turbo bearings, your injectors, your high-pressure fuel pump, they're all spinning or operating with minimal lubrication. This is when the most damage happens. Metal on metal contact, accelerated wear, and it's cumulative. Do this every day for a year, and you've caused more wear than 50,000 miles of highway driving. Your turbo is particularly vulnerable. The turbine shaft spins at over 100,000 revolutions per minute. Without adequate oil pressure and flow, the bearings wear rapidly. I've seen turbos fail at 80,000 miles simply because the owner never gave the engine time to build oil pressure before driving. Here's what actually happens inside your engine during a cold start. The oil sitting in your pan is cold and thick. Your oil pump has to work against that viscosity to push oil through the passages. Your turbo, sitting at the top of the engine, is one of the last components to receive pressurized oil. Those critical seconds before oil arrives, that's when damage accumulates. Here's what you need to do. Start the engine. Let it idle for 30 to 45 seconds minimum. Don't rev it. Don't put it in gear. Just let it sit. Watch your oil pressure gauge. Wait until it stabilizes. Then drive gently until both coolant and oil temperatures reach operating range. What does drive gently mean? Keep RPM below 2,000. Avoid heavy throttle. No towing or hauling until the engine is fully warm. Most modern diesels take 10 to 15 minutes of driving to reach full operating temperature. In extreme cold, below 0 Fahrenheit, extend your warm-up time to 2 to 3 minutes. Better yet, use a block heater. Plug it in 3 to 4 hours before starting. Save the heavy throttle and towing for when the engine is actually warm. That simple change adds years to your turbo's life and prevents thousands in premature wear. But even if you're perfect about warm-up, there's another habit that's even more destructive to diesel engines. Habit number 6, excessive idling. Diesel owners love to idle. Job sites, drive-thrus, parking lots, warming up, cooling down. The engine sounds good, it's not working hard, so it must be fine, right? Wrong. Long idling sessions destroy diesel engines. When a diesel idles, combustion temperatures are low, too low for complete fuel burn. That means soot. Massive amounts of soot that coat your EGR valve, clog your DPF, build up in your intake manifold, and contaminate your oil. But here's the worst part: fuel dilution. At low temperatures, diesel fuel doesn't fully vaporize. It washes down the cylinder walls and ends up in your crankcase oil. I've drained oil from Duramax engines that smelled like straight diesel. That contaminated oil destroys bearings, accelerates wear, and causes premature failure. Let me explain exactly what's happening. During normal combustion at operating temperature, diesel fuel vaporizes completely before ignition. But at idle, combustion chamber temperatures drop significantly. Fuel doesn't vaporize completely. Some of it remains liquid and gets pushed past the piston rings into the crankcase. Once diesel fuel mixes with your engine oil, it thins the oil's viscosity. Your 15W40 oil might effectively become 10W30 or thinner. This reduced viscosity means less protection for bearings and critical components. Your DPF system suffers too. It needs high exhaust temperatures to regenerate and burn off accumulated soot. Idling keeps temperatures low, so soot just keeps building. Once the DPF is full, you get warning lights, reduced power, and eventually a $2,000 to $3,000 replacement. Fleet trucks that idle 5 to 7 hours daily need turbo cleaning, EGR replacement, DPF service, and oil changes every 3,000 miles. Meanwhile, trucks with minimal idle time last twice as long on the same maintenance schedule. If you're idling more than 60 to 90 seconds, shut it off. If you need power for tools or equipment, use high idle mode. It raises RPM and keeps temperatures up. And never idle in cold weather for extended periods. Use a block heater instead. Your diesel isn't a generator. Treat it like one, and you'll pay for it. Now, even if you avoid excessive idling, there's a driving habit that puts enormous stress on your engine without you realizing it. Habit number 5, lugging the engine. Picture this. You're towing 12,000 pounds up a grade. Your RPM is sitting at 1,400. The truck feels like it's working, but you're not pushing it hard, so you think you're being gentle. You're not. You're lugging the engine, and it's one of the most destructive things you can do to a diesel. Here's what lugging means. You're asking the engine to produce high power at low RPM. That creates massive cylinder pressures without adequate oil pressure to protect the bearings. Your connecting rod bearings, main bearings, and wrist pins are taking a beating. Let me break down the physics. When you're at low RPM under heavy load, each combustion event creates enormous pressure on the piston. That pressure transfers through the connecting rod to the crankshaft. The bearings between these components rely on oil pressure to maintain a protective film. But here's the problem. Your oil pump is driven by the crankshaft. Lower RPM means lower pump speed, which means lower oil pressure. So you're creating maximum stress with minimum protection. Low RPM also means your turbo isn't spinning fast enough to provide adequate boost, so you're not getting complete combustion. That creates soot, which loads up your DPF and contaminates your oil. I've seen Duramax engines with spun bearings at 120,000 miles because the owner constantly lugged the engine while towing. The bearings couldn't handle the combination of high load and low oil pressure. The repair? Complete engine rebuild at $8,000 to $12,000. The correct way to tow is simple. Keep your RPM between 1,800 and 2,500. This range provides optimal torque, adequate oil pressure, and proper turbo boost. Downshift before hills. Don't wait until the engine is struggling and RPM is dropped to 1,200. Anticipate the grade and downshift early. Never floor the throttle below 1,700 revolutions per minute. If you need more power, downshift first, then apply throttle. Let the diesel breathe and work in its power band. Your engine will run cooler, your turbo will last longer, and your bearings will thank you. Habit number 4, hot shutdown after heavy load. You've been towing up a mountain pass. Your EGTs are running hot. Your turbo is spinning at maximum speed. You finally reach the top, pull into a rest area, and shut the engine off. Congratulations. You just dramatically shorten your turbo's lifespan. When you shut down a hot engine, several bad things happen simultaneously. Your turbo is still extremely hot. We're talking 700 to 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit on the turbine side. But the moment you turn the key off, oil circulation stops. Your oil pump stops. Your turbo bearings are sitting there, cooking hot, with no oil flow. The oil trapped inside the turbo literally cooks. It turns to carbon. This is called coking. Once that oil carbonizes, it scratches the turbo bearings and ruins them. Let me explain the turbo cooling process. Under normal operation, oil flows continuously through the turbo's center housing. This oil serves two purposes, lubrication and cooling. When you shut down the engine, this cooling process stops immediately. The turbine side is still radiating intense heat. That heat soaks into the center housing, where the bearings are located. The oil trapped in the bearing passages heats up rapidly. At temperatures above 400 degrees, oil begins to break down and form carbon deposits. These carbon deposits are abrasive. They act like sandpaper on the bearing surfaces. Over dozens or hundreds of hot shutdowns, this wear accumulates. Eventually, the compressor wheel or turbine wheel makes contact with the housing, and the turbo fails catastrophically. I've seen 6.6-liter Duramax turbos fail at 70,000 miles because the owner always shut down immediately after towing. The turbo sounded like a dentist drill. That's a $2,500 replacement that could have been prevented. The fix is simple. After towing, climbing hills, or any heavy load work, let the truck idle for 2 to 4 minutes. Watch your exhaust gas temperature gauge. Wait until EGTs drop below 300 to 350 degrees. Then, shut down. Those few minutes of idle time let the turbo cool gradually while maintaining oil flow. It's the difference between a turbo lasting 100,000 miles and one lasting 300,000 miles. This applies to all GMC diesels, Duramax, older 6.5-liter turbo diesels, everything. They all need cool-down time after hard work. Now, there's a driving pattern that's particularly destructive to modern diesel emission systems. Habit number 3, short trip driving. You use your GMC diesel for short trips, 2 miles to work, 5 minutes to the store, quick errands around town. The engine barely gets warm before you shut it off. This is killing your diesel, slowly, expensively, and in ways you won't notice until it's too late. Modern diesels need heat, consistent heat, long enough to complete burn cycles and regeneration cycles. Short trips never let the truck reach full operating temperature. Here's what happens. Your turbo never gets warm. Cold turbo means poor lubrication, binding, and soot buildup. Your combustion stays too cool. Cool combustion creates heavy soot that overloads your DPF. Your DPF needs high exhaust temperatures to regenerate and burn off accumulated soot. Regeneration typically requires exhaust temperatures above 1,000 degrees. Short trips rarely exceed 400 to 600 degrees. But it gets worse. Your engine tries to regenerate, but you shut it off before the cycle completes. A complete regeneration cycle takes 20 to 30 minutes of sustained driving. If you shut down mid-cycle, the regeneration fails. The extra fuel that was injected, some of it ends up in your crankcase oil. Your EGR system gets choked with sludge. Cold EGR means condensation plus soot equals thick tar in your intake manifold. Your turbo vanes stick. Your intake gets clogged. I've seen 2020 Duramax engines with only 25,000 miles come in running terribly. Clogged DPF, stuck turbo vanes, sludged EGR, fuel in the oil. The owner lived 2 miles from work and drove it twice a day. The repair bill? Over $5,000. If you must do short trips, take a 25 to 30-minute highway drive once a week. Keep RPM around 2,000 to 2,200. Let the truck hit full operating temperature. Let regeneration complete. Or consider this, if you're only doing short trips, a diesel might not be the right vehicle for you. Diesels are designed for sustained operation, not stop-and-go city driving. Speaking of how you drive, there's a towing habit that causes expensive damage. Habit number 2, bad towing technique. Diesel trucks are built for towing, but towing wrong destroys them faster than almost anything else. Mistake number 1, towing in too high a gear. People think lower RPM equals better fuel economy. With a diesel under load, that's wrong. It causes lugging. Mistake number 2, riding the brakes downhill. This overheats your brake system. Your brake fluid boils, your rotors warp, and you lose braking effectiveness. Mistake number 3, letting transmission temperatures spike. I've seen transmission temps hit 240 to 250 degrees because the driver didn't downshift on hills. Above 240, the fluid breaks down rapidly. Mistake number 4, flooring the throttle while towing. Instant EGT spikes. When you floor the throttle under heavy load, EGTs can spike to 1,400 or 1,500 degrees. Sustained temperatures above 1,250 can damage exhaust manifolds and turbo housings. Mistake number 5, using cruise control on steep grades. Cruise control will floor the throttle to maintain speed. It doesn't care about EGTs or engine load. You lose control. Mistake number 6, not letting the turbo cool after towing. Always cool down after heavy towing. 2 to 4 minutes of idle time can save you a turbo replacement. The correct way to tow is straightforward. Keep RPM between 1,800 and 2,400 under load. Watch your EGT gauge. Keep it under 1,200 degrees sustained. Downshift before the engine struggles. Use your transmission's manual mode or tow haul mode. Avoid cruise control on steep hills. Use engine braking on descents. Downshift to a lower gear and let the engine slow the truck. Monitor your gauges. Watch coolant temperature, transmission temperature, and EGTs. Tow correctly, and your GMC diesel will pull heavy loads for 300,000 miles without major issues. Tow incorrectly, and you'll need major repairs before 150,000 miles. And finally, here's the habit that destroys more modern Duramax engines than anything else. Habit number 1. Ignoring or deleting emission systems. This is the big one. The habit that causes more catastrophic failures than everything else combined. Modern GMC diesels have complex emission systems: DPF, DEF, EGR, SCR. These systems require proper operation and maintenance. Some owners ignore warning lights. DPF full? Keep driving. DEF low? I'll fill it later. Check engine light? It's probably nothing. This is a disaster waiting to happen. When your DPF is full and you keep driving, back pressure builds, your turbo works harder, your EGTs spike. Eventually, something fails, usually the turbo or the DPF itself. When you run out of DEF, your truck goes into limp mode. Some people try to bypass this or use incorrect fluids. That damages the SCR catalyst, a $4,000 part. But here's the worst scenario. Deleting emission systems. Some owners remove the DPF, disable the EGR, and tune the engine. They think they're improving reliability and performance. Short term, the truck might feel better. Without the DPF, there's no back pressure restriction. Without EGR, intake temperatures are lower. Long term, you're creating problems. Without EGR, combustion temperatures run higher. That accelerates wear on pistons, rings, and valves. Without the DPF, you lose back pressure that the turbo needs for proper operation. And if anything goes wrong, if you need warranty work, if you need to sell the truck, if you get caught in an emissions inspection state, you're looking at thousands to restore it to stock. Warranty claims will be denied. Federal law makes it illegal to remove or disable emissions equipment. Fines can reach $2,500 per violation for individuals and $25,000 for companies. I've seen deleted Duramax engines fail at 100,000 miles with cracked pistons, worn rings, and damaged turbos. The repair cost exceeded $10,000, and because the emissions equipment was deleted, warranty coverage was void. The correct approach is simple. Maintain your emission systems properly, use quality DEF, don't ignore warning lights, let regions complete. If you have issues, fix them correctly rather than deleting systems. Your GMC diesel was engineered by people who know more about diesel engines than anyone on a forum. Trust the engineering, maintain it properly, and it'll last. Now you know the 7 habits that destroy GMC diesel engines, but knowing what not to do is only half the equation. Check out my video on making your GMC last over 300,000 miles. I cover the complete maintenance schedule that protects your investment. Thanks for watching.